2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
I'm full of anger and resentment. How do I let it go? Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
All right, Tyler, let's start with a review. And this review, I like this review because it gives a shout out to one of our past guests. It says, I swear Adrian is me. I'm still in the middle of listening, but I had to pause and tell you three how much this is me. Thank you, Adrian, for putting 25 years of my life into such a great and helpful way. I love this podcast. Betrayed and Addicted and Expert podcast was the beginning for me to say no more. That I'm not crazy and this relationship was not normal. I also learned that God doesn't expect me for my happiness and self-respect to stay married. Thank you for doing that one and creating something I can continue to listen to for this phase of recovery. I recommend both these podcasts to everyone that I can think of will benefit, which is a lot.
Yeah, isn't that so cool, Brandon? You know, that shout out to you, Adrian, for coming on. But we hear that all the time from a lot of our other callers and things too, that your courage to come on the show and share has an impact, a direct impact on the lives of strangers. And how awesome it is that we live in a world where that can be possible.
Yeah. And I have no doubt that's going to happen today, as with our guest today. So, let's dive right in with Tami. So Tami, if you could just give us a little bit of context, background, and then ask any questions that you have.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. My husband and I went through, a D-Day last April. So it's been about a year for us, where I had seen some text messages coming through on his Apple Watch that he left at home. And I knew something was up. And the next day after I'd confronted him, he kind of came clean about it. However, I just kept kind of digging. About 5 months later, I went through some phone records. I had him listen to one of your podcasts from August of 2020, where you guys talked about full disclosure and don't take, those 2 or 3 really tough ones to the grave with you. And thank you for that. I appreciate that. At that time, he kind of decided to write everything out for me. And it turned out that over the course of our, 12, 13 years of marriage, there had been about 9 different people to varying degrees. Some that he had been, involved with for 10 years, some that were just kind of one-offs. So it really rocked my world.
Sure.
The most recent one, the one that I discovered that kind of brought it all to a head, was someone here locally that he'd become quite consumed with and obsessed with and involved with. I took it upon myself after I found that out to reach out to her husband and just say, I know something you probably should know, and chatted with him. I had chatted with her after that. She kind of went into shifting blame, playing victim, even going so far as to tell her spouse that nothing really happened, gaslighting him. I've had a chance to go through, thankfully, a lot of podcasts, listening to you guys, therapy with my husband, classes at our church, marathon discussions. And we've come to a pretty decent place ourselves. But I still have so much anger for this other person. And it probably seems silly given the fact that they're not just one, they're one of a number. And I don't know if it's misplaced, if it's anger that I'm not letting myself take out on the rightful person who had vows with me. I guess I just don't know how to let it go. And I feel like I'm carrying it around, and it causes me to have maybe more triggers than necessary. And I know it's just not a healthy thing to carry through life. But I don't know how to let it go when I don't have any opportunity to make amends.
Tami, what is it about? Like you say, there's been nine total, you say?
Yeah.
What is it about this one that really triggers that anger and resentment?
If I'm going to be honest, most of them didn't get to the point of actual physical intimacy to that level. And I feel like most of them I even was aware, but during this particular one, I had been reaching out to my husband saying I don't feel close to you. We're not having sex. We're not, we were sleeping in different beds. It just felt like I was losing someone. But I also think it was an accumulation of him pulling away from me for years. Mm-hmm. Because he just was filling his bag with things that made him not able to be vulnerable and to not able to show up for me or with me in any intimate way. So I think it was just coming to a head where I just felt like I was losing a physical relationship with this person and an intimate relationship with them. And I didn't know why. And so maybe part of it is just the fact that this one hit me the hardest.
And so you're saying it might just be that she's also the present one, which means she's still more of a threat. It also means that she sort of symbolizes this long loss that you've been experiencing over several years, but there's something tangible in her because she's the present one. Is that what you're saying?
She is present, yes. And then just recently, she popped up in social media in a selfie with one of my friends. And I have been, I guess, very diligent about, I've only shared this with two of my friends, and both of them live out of state. Locally, I have kept it very private. My husband, He's a business owner and stuff, and we are in a relatively small community. And so I feel like I've protected them to some extent. You know, they can mingle among people that know me with no repercussions, no one knowing any the wiser. And I don't know if that's fair to me. I don't know.
That's not fair to you.
No, I imagine there'd be plenty of anger just around that one little factor, which is this person's hurt me and now I'm going to protect their identity.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting as I'm hearing you talk, what I'm feeling from you is not anger and resentment. I'm feeling pain. I'm feeling sadness. Like I feel your heart, your broken heart. And it's interesting because, you know, it sounds like you sound a little bit stuck with where you're at, you know, and alone. And so one place to go with that is this anger, this place of anger, to just kind of get this seething feeling of control about the situation. But what's deep down going on is just a lot of pain in that relationship. Am I accurate on that?
I do feel stuck. Like I feel like I can't share it with people, or I can't be real about where I'm at, because it's going to out someone, you know. And even when I talked to my husband about, you know, seeing this person in a selfie with one of my good friends, I said, I've never shared with them what happened, or they would not be in a photo posting it online with this person, you know? And I said, I want to be able to share that with her so she's aware. And his comment back was, you know, that outs me. And are you prepared for that? And I think he still wants to protect himself. And I don't want to cause him pain, and I don't want to upend his world. But at the same time, I feel like in the last year, I've gone to so many things, so many events right after this happened, and just tried to put on a face like everything's just fine. And it's not. And to see the two of them move through life like everything's fine, and it's not. And I'm not going to say my husband, like, he has had very not fine times, and I've seen them as he's worked through this with me. It's not been easy for him.
Sure.
And I'm sure she's maybe had the same, but I'm not aware of it. I don't.
So at a bare minimum, Tami, it sounds like, and we're going to maybe break into a few other pieces here, and there's probably some other stuff, but at bare minimum, it sounds like there's a responsibility issue here that's causing part of the stuckness, in the sense that, you know, you need some help and support. This thing has gone to the point of you protecting the two people that have hurt you so far that even your own friendships, you're not even feeling safe or comfortable in your own friendships because they don't know and they're ignorant because you've been protecting them.
Right.
Right. And so part of, I think what I'm hearing is that there needs to be some level of rearrangement of responsibility here. Not because you're going to be mean, not because you're going to out your husband and ruin his business or out her or whatever, but because you need to be able to manage and maintain your current relationships in a way that can be healthy for you. And your husband, it sounds like his comment's interesting, that he's like, are you ready for this? Wait a minute. That's
a gaslight right there.
Yeah.
That's a great example of a gaslight.
Is he ready for this, or are you ready for this? Because you're ready for it because you want to be able to go to your friend and say, hey, just so you know, there's some history here. I want you to know that so that our relationship can be exactly where it's at. And it's going to be okay for your husband to have to learn to go own that piece of it. You're not going to go shout it from the rooftops or put a billboard up in the town you live in. You don't have to do that, but there does need to be a little bit more responsibility on their part to manage their stuff. If it means you need to have some safety and some security and some support from your team that you haven't been able to get because you haven't been able to share.
Right. And I think he is concerned that, like, within our group of friends, that he'll be viewed differently or cold-shouldered or
sure. So, but listen to this.
You know,
Listen to this though, Tami. What you're saying is again, of course he worries about that, and of course that's a risk. So the price to pay to make sure he doesn't have to worry about that is that you experience a cold shoulder that nobody knows they're giving.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to just kind of give a couple of examples and analogies here. And I hate to use this one, but it'll drive this home, is with sexual abuse. A lot of times what will happen is the abuser, whether it's uncle or dad or whoever, the family doesn't want to deal with the consequences of what that means. And so what they do is they protect the abuser. They protect they're scared of the truth. And so they protect the abuser. And what happens is it causes generational trauma and problems, and it really throws the victim under the bus. Here's another analogy, and I'll tie these two together. If I broke my leg, let's say I broke it really, really bad, and it had to get set, but it was too scary and painful to set it back in place. And so I never did. What would happen?
It'd never heal, right?
I'd never heal, and I'd still have a lot of ongoing complications and pain. And the pathway to healing and the pathway past something is through it. You can't go around it. You can't pretend like it's not there. And Tami, you're being tasked with being the one that's supposed to pretend like it's not there. No wonder you have a lot of resentment and anger going on. You're holding this house of cards up for him and for his affair partner. That is the worst position to be in and is completely unfair. Completely unfair.
And she even went so far as to ask me when we spoke after D-Day. I think she mostly wanted to know just what exactly I knew as far as information. But she went so far as to ask me to just keep things professional and respect her reputation and whatever, like that she didn't want it out there and she would do the same.
She would see.
How
look
kind.
At the gaslight.
Kind.
Yeah, the gaslight back on you. Keep it professional, and that's what I would do. I would do the same. And what that's saying is, yeah, how kind.
Yeah.
So here's the issue though. Like let's change that phrase for just a second, because she wants to keep her reputation. Let's keep her so-called reputation, because the truth is the truth. She's gone and made choices. Your husband's gone and made choices. They get to own those choices, and those choices, why do they not affect reputation?
It's reality.
It's the reality of things. That's just the simple truth.
Tyler and I are not saying, Tami, to like rent a billboard. That's not what we're saying.
No, not at all.
And really, that I think really checking in with yourself about that need for vengeance or resentment or anger, that could get you in some positions where you don't want to be, that you wouldn't be acting in your truth.
But I think sometimes having it bottled up though takes me to that ugly place where I'm almost like feel like I'm going to pop and just want to do something outlandish.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick of feeling so stuck or feeling so angry that I can't do anything about it, or that I feel stuck.
But the pathway out is through. So if you go and you look at that anger and resentment and you say, what is this telling me about me? Like what's the message that it's giving to you? What's the communication going on with those emotions? Do you understand my question?
I do. And I think you're probably right that most of my anger is just that I've felt quieted or unable to speak my truth to people I actually care about or people that I feel like could support me. Because my friends that know aren't here day to day. They aren't the people that I see all the time.
Yeah.
Your anger is not bad. It's what you do with it that could be bad. And so your anger is good. And so your anger is communicating that the way this system is set up for you is not working for you and something needs to shift.
It sounds like the anger is the signal that the boundaries aren't quite in the right spot yet. Usually resentment means that there's kind of an issue with boundaries, and that's how it manifests itself. And then it also sounds like, even though you're doing a lot, like you've done a lot of work, you're doing a lot of recovery work. It sounds like you and your husband have done a lot of work together. It sounds like you don't quite have a big enough chimney or set of chimneys for the smoke to go when it comes. And that causes it to build on itself and starts to want to choke you out. And then when you want to be choked out, that's when you might think about going and doing something outlandish, right? And so what would be if all of these other chimneys that we're talking about, these friends of yours that are taking selfies with this other woman, if they're not available, where is the smoke going? Like, where are you letting it go right now?
It blows up between my husband and I. And it takes him down kind of a shame circle because he feels terrible that this all came about from, his actions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like a gut punch to our relationship.
Because he pulls away from his shame, or do you feel shame too because you bring it up, or is it both?
He's gotten better at not pulling away from shame, but I think it's been 30 years in the making of habit and coping, and that predated me. So that shame cycle is pretty big. And it's just a natural place for him to go.
As far as you know, does he still have contact with her?
I don't know. No.
You don't think? Wait, are you saying no, he doesn't, or you don't know?
No, he doesn't have contact with her. I think when everything came to a head and kind of the after discussion and he's seen her as a bit of a loose cannon that could be dangerous to be involved with in any way.
Okay.
So.
And with this anger, when you blow up and things like that, how does he respond? You say he goes in a shame spiral.
He's gotten better at offering some empathy, as long as it's not late at night or an inconvenient time. So he's gotten better at being empathetic and kind of talking through things with me, recognizing why I might be mad. But I think at the end of the day, he's still very protective of who he is, because I think a lot of what got him into this habit was, whether it's porn or people, just that feeling of acceptance, not rejection, feeling somebody being interested in you, wanting you, validation, all of those things. And to out yourself in a negative way is all the opposite of what he craves that gets him into these relationships.
So that image management is really important. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think he goes into protection mode as much as he does empathy mode.
How is he with taking the reins of his own recovery?
He's been pretty good at it. Like I said, when it first came out, it took another 6 months for it to all come out. And then there was probably a month or two where he was just depressed at looking at everything cumulatively. He said he'd never really laid everything in his life out and really looked at it as a whole.
Okay.
We're really only like 4 or 5 months beyond that right now.
Yeah,
sure. I think you're really early in the process, but it sounds like your gut says he's engaged in recovery and he's doing things for the right reasons. It sounds like you're still pretty early in the process. It sounds like there's still a little bit of extra self-protection there, which makes sense. Most people are going to be in that space. I wonder if, does he understand, and have you been able to articulate to him what ripple effects his self-protection are having on your life?
I don't think so. I think understanding, just betrayal trauma or triggers. And I guess I don't know what's normal either. Mm-hmm. I think he's still blown away that a year later I can be triggered by something.
Sure.
And just wants to figure out how to make that go away and how to make it stop, as do I. But
So could I just say one thing, because you guys are in this space and I hear that it sounds like you've got the kind of man who is working some recovery.
Yeah.
And so he's probably going to go back and listen to this episode too, eventually.
Right.
And he's probably asking the question in his mind, how do I get the pain to go away for her? Because if the pain goes away for her, it goes away for me and for us. And one of the best things that anybody can do in your husband's position, if he's really wanting to know, is to create the space that you need to be able to get the help you need. To focus, instead of going in on closing everything up, but to say, you know what, like, you do whatever you need to, babe. Like you talk to whoever you need to. I'll deal with the consequences. I trust that you're going to talk to the people that'll be helpful. And we both agree we don't want to go and just share it with the world, but what do you need? Do you need space? Do you need time? Do you need connection? Do you need to talk to certain people? Go do it. And if that willingness shows up that way, it creates so much safety in the relationship. And it starts to go, okay, now I don't have to fight against protecting him. I just get to worry about now letting my smoke go where it needs to go in the healthy places it needs to go. I need to worry about my self-care. I need to worry about my boundaries. I need to worry about continuing to move on and heal instead of always being in self-protection mode myself because I don't feel like I've got any support.
But Tyler, we're talking about going after the very kind of crux of the issue, the very root to his problem.
That's it.
This image management thing is, I want to be loved. I don't feel like I'm loved unless I look a certain way or be a certain way. Mm-hmm. And if we were to dig right down that vein, we would find what's driving him to go have all these affairs. And so it's the scariest thing for him, yet one of the most important things for his recovery is to realize my mess can be out there. If Tami needs to go get support, whatever, and I still can be okay. Yep. I'm going to survive.
Well, that's the byproduct is that he would actually be helping himself in his own recovery far more than he's currently helping himself in the process. If he could get into that space of going, do I love my wife? And how's the best way that I can love my wife? I can support her in the things that she needs to heal. Right.
Well, and I would hope that first and foremost, he would do it for himself to say, look, I've lived my life in the darkness and I'm ready to live in the light and be more transparent and open and out of shame. And that's the reason why I want to be more that way. And the byproduct is Tammy's not trapped in this stuck position where she can't get support and get help. Another side thing, Tami, I think as much as you would probably like to bust this open, there's probably a big part of you that doesn't want to bust it open. That's like, gosh, like not only will they know about him and her, they'll know my story, and that's vulnerable. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I've always been a very open, honest person as far as living like very real to my friends. Probably saying the things that people wouldn't normally say or share, because I feel like it opens doors for other people to know that they're not alone, or that their story isn't unusual, or to know that they could reach out because, hey, I've been through that, or whatever. So to me, this seems also kind of stuck in that I know that what we've gone through isn't some anomaly. I know that we probably have friends who unwittingly are going through the same thing, who we could be, maybe a model for, maybe a support system for, maybe somebody they could reach out to at some point in the future. But so many people live this shame of not putting it out there, or not letting people know the truth of their walk through life. Everybody tries to do it alone, and it's just so isolating and so alienating.
Yes. Good. I mean, what you're saying is you're more than willing, and you want to get support. And can you think of who you'd go talk to if you felt like you could?
I would just like my immediate group of girlfriends to be able to know.
Mm-hmm. So this is just a suggestion, but my therapeutic opinion is you go to your husband and you say, I know this is hard, but the fact of the matter is this is not just his issue. This is your betrayal is yours, and that's part of your story. I know this is hard, and I want to let you know first, but I am going to go talk to them because I need support. And be committed not to fight with him. And he might freak out. He might be totally understanding, but that's a boundary of yours to say, support is important to me. I value that, and I need that for healing. And so I'm going to go do that. And he could say, well, this is my issue. No, it's not. Like this, I need this for my healing. Does that sound even possible, Tami?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's the healthy thing to do. So
I like where you're going, Tami, and your line of thinking. When we look at trauma, we talk about what happens after trauma, and people go into this pit where they're lower than they were before they started the trauma, and they stay there for a while, and they might stay there for years and years and years. But then we look for something called post-traumatic growth, which means after the trauma, if I do certain things, I actually can create a life that's bigger and better than the one that I was living in before the trauma happened. And one of the ways that happens for many, many people is to adopt this mentality that you no longer have a secret, you have a story. And the story doesn't need to be shared with everybody, but the story is the gold inside of the hell you've been through. And the fact that you're already there saying, you know what, there's a very good chance that some of your friends have experienced similar things. There's even a possibility, Tami, that woman that was in the picture with your friend might be having an affair with one of your friend's husbands. For you to be able to say, I'm going to be willing to share my story, not only because I need the support, but because I might be a support. You're already moving into that state, that place where you're going to experience the growth after the trauma, and not just the getting back to normal kind of a feeling.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've heard I was so scared to open up and share with my friend. And then they told me that the same thing was going on in their life and they felt so alone. And then it was just relief for both of them. It was this just this break from that secrecy and fear and shame that they've been stuck in for so long. And it's really healing.
Well, and I've voiced to my husband that I feel like people might take more issue with him if he wasn't doing the work. But he has been doing the work. He has been dug in and committed, and we are in a better place now than we were, pre-affair, during the affair, before, probably ever in our marriage, honestly, which is sad that you can look at 12 years of marriage and say you're in a better place now after that. But I couldn't be happier with where we're at, other than some of these residual things that just I need to put to rest to keep moving forward.
But Tami, in what you just said, it made me pause for just a second, because part of you is saying, I'm trying to convince him that it's okay to be out there and honest. And, and the reality is for you to get yourself to a point of not, I don't care about him, but to a point of, for me, I need to be open and honest with people, regardless of how you might look or feel. Like, great, you're working your recovery hard, yay. Or you're being a total jerk and not working, whatever. I'm moving forward to get this support and this help. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't have to convince him for you to go out and release this anger and resentment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I think I was thinking about it from an image protection sort of way. Like your image will be okay because you're doing the work.
That's what I'm saying.
And you're saying whether it's okay or not okay.
His image, Tami, has gotten
is irrelevant to
his image has gotten plenty of power here. We're done with the image thing for him, right? Yeah. And now it's about just real healing. But go ahead, Tyler.
What I would say to him, if he's listening though, is that this is one of those courageous things that you can't fathom until you're on the other side of it. But if you are actually doing the work, your image will only benefit if you are able to share
the
yourself.
Actual real work.
Just be yourself truth. And show what the real work looks like. You're going to be a magnet for people because everyone else is feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the paradox to it all.
Yep.
It's just a scary place to go for people, I think.
Yep. Oh, sure.
I want to give him the full invite to come on our show with camera on and his real name, and he can be here next week.
I'll ask. Yeah. Well, you guys have been immensely helpful the last year, the podcasts and all your different topics, and I appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you, Tami. I know that we've only kind of chased down one thread so far today. We're probably going to run out of time before we can do much more, but I hope that the thread we're on is helpful towards helping create some space for that smoke to go. And then I think you are also working towards some other skills for being able to let that anger move. And that's going to come in lots of other different ways. And we could probably do a whole other episode or two just on letting go of anger, other than this one avenue we've taken today.
Yeah. It's interesting. When we started this episode, I expected something a little different. Tami, when you brought up, I'm stuck in anger and resentment. I can see why. But you really seem like a very forgiving, like wanting to love type person. Like you
can feel your heart. You can feel your
with
heart,
your husband, sure. Very kind and forgiving and just wanting to love. And I think what that shows is that anger is there for a reason. It's important to listen to it, because you're not wanting to stay stuck there. It's not who you are. And so you got to listen to it and go through it and to deal with what it's telling you in order to get past it.
Tami, any other thoughts or questions in the last few minutes that we've got here?
No, I guess the only way is through. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, when you talk about empathy and compassion, I'd be lying if I didn't say there isn't a part of me that my husband and I are a blended family. And I've been through divorce, and I don't want to do it again. But I look at this other woman, and there's a part of me that has a heart for probably where she was to get into this.
Mm-hmm.
And just almost wishing that I had befriended her, not my spouse, because I probably had more in common with her of what she needed than he did. So it's just
what you're doing right now, Tami, is a phenomenal skill and tool towards letting go of resentment. The fact that you just said I could be her friend on a different day, even though I hate her right now, says something about the work that you're doing. You're making her human, which is amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Tami, I appreciate you coming on, being vulnerable, sharing your story. And I'd really be curious kind of where this goes in the next few weeks. So I can't wait to hear from your husband.
Well, there's no doubt he has a few things he could probably chat with you about.
Well, that would be awesome. No, well, thank you. Thank you, Tami, for coming on, for sharing yourself, for sharing your heart, for sharing your process. And yes, you are not alone. And what you've talked about today is something that will be pertinent for lots of people who are listening today. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, if this episode was helpful, then don't be shy to share it with somebody in need. And maybe it's that person that you don't really know, but this would benefit greatly for them. So we appreciate you guys listening, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.